In the wild landscapes of North America, the grizzly bear is not merely a predator, but a true ruler of the land. Each heavy stride gathers explosive force, and every powerful swing projects dominance strong enough to block any escape. At the top of the food chain, its presence alone compels the forest to remain alert to every movement. A deep, resonant roar carries through the valley, marking the moment the hunter fully enters the scene. From that instant on, any creature caught in the wrong place faces an irreversible turning point along the grizzly bear's path. Elk are a symbol of endurance and speed in the northern mountain forests. An adult male carries a massive frame with antlers that can span nearly 4 feet, used for defense and for establishing rank.
Gathering clearings for the yearly brawl.
For a grizzly, an elk is not an easy objective. It is a rival that forces the predator to calculate timing and terrain with care. When an elk is pressed toward a water's edge or low, marshy ground, the balance begins to shift. In cold water, long legs that move so well on steep slopes become less efficient, while the grizzly can lean on body weight and stability. On other terrain, the grizzly looks for an approach from behind, relying on surprise and the power of a jaw with an estimated bite force that can exceed 1,000 psi. The elk answers with sharp turns and short bursts of speed, pulling the encounter into a tense sequence of back and forth pressure where neither side gains an easy advantage. When the pursuit ends and the grizzly gains the reward, the energy, up to about 100,000 calories, can be converted into fat reserves for leaner periods ahead. The remainder continues to support birds, insects, and the surrounding forest soil. In that cycle, there is no absolute winner, only the movement of energy that keeps the mountain ecosystem in balance. The grizzly bear is one of the largest land mammals in North America. An adult male can weigh around 1,200 pounds and, when standing upright, can reach over 8 feet tall. Despite that strength, they spend most of their time alone, avoiding unnecessary conflict. But in the wild, encounters are sometimes unavoidable, not out of aggression, but out of survival. At salmon runs and other high-energy feeding areas, invisible boundaries form quickly. A bear can consume more than 30 pounds of fish per day to maintain its condition. Larger, more experienced individuals often take the central positions, forcing late arrivals to weigh the risk. Most disputes are settled through posture, movement, and an overwhelming presence. When the advantage disappears, the weaker bear backs away, leaving space to the one holding control. In rare cases, conflict is tied to reproduction. An adult male may enter the range of a mother raising cubs that are not his. This is not random behavior, but an evolutionary strategy that can trigger a new breeding cycle. That pressure makes the mother extremely vigilant, often moving her cubs for miles through dense forest to avoid a direct encounter and seek safety. Pressure rises sharply when food becomes scarce. In late summer, or in years when salmon numbers drop, bears must build hundreds of pounds of fat for the long winter. Less dominant individuals are more likely to be pushed away from critical food sources. Encounters then stay brief and decisive, often ending as soon as access is lost. In the dense forests and cold wetlands of Alaska, moose are among the toughest challenges for a grizzly. Standing over 6 feet at the shoulder, weighing more than 1,400 pounds, and carrying broad antlers like a moving shield, every approach forces the predator to calculate with care. A grizzly rarely drives straight in. It keeps distance, watching the rhythm of movement and the other animals' reactions. With a calf or an individual that has separated from the group, the bear gradually pressures it toward the water's edge or into marshy ground, where escape routes narrow and each step becomes heavier. In those moments, the terrain becomes an ally, allowing the grizzly to control the situation without spending excessive energy. Against a full-grown moose, the encounter stays brief but intense. The moose is ready to stop, lower its center of gravity, and deliver a warning strike, forcing the bear to ease back and reassess the risk. From midsummer to early fall, Alaska's rivers enter their most active stretch of the year. Salmon leave the ocean and travel hundreds of miles upstream to return to their spawning grounds. For the grizzly, this is a defining window before winter dormancy. Their bodies shift into a state of hyperphagia, eating almost continuously to store energy for the long, cold months. At waterfalls and narrow river channels, where the current forces fish to launch out of the water, grizzlies hold key positions. An adult can stand nearly motionless for hours, focused on every small change in the flow. One precisely timed approach is enough to secure a fish weighing a few pounds, a rhythm repeated across many seasons of survival. As the season moves toward its end, the water slows and the salmon weaken. Grizzlies adjust their strategy, leaving higher falls for lower stretches of river, where feeding demands less effort while remaining highly effective. Under favorable conditions, They can consume dozens in a single day, quickly turning protein and fat into winter reserves. Among what they seek, salmon eggs, dense with energy, are often prioritized. The rest is not wasted, instead supporting scavenging birds, small animals, and gradually enriching the soil along the stream banks. Here, each act of survival does not serve only one animal, but also helps sustain the quiet balance of the entire ecosystem. Caribou are a symbol of migration and endurance in the north. Compared with elk and moose, their bodies are more compact, and their long legs help maintain a steady pace across snow and ice, especially during harsh transitional seasons when conditions keep shifting. The grizzly is an opportunistic predator. While much of its diet comes from vegetation, in spring and fall, caribou become an important source of energy. Despite its heavy build, a grizzly can reach speeds of about 35 miles per hour in short bursts. Rather than pursuing an entire herd, it uses terrain and targets calves, older individuals, or those separated from the group. The most vulnerable lynx. A keen sense of smell helps the bear detect a calf hidden in tall grass or low-lying ground. When caribou are pushed into deep snow, mud, or along a water's edge, their speed advantage fades quickly, and the balance of survival begins to tilt toward the one that has been waiting. Across the wide grasslands and forest edges of North America, the gray wolf stands as a symbol of coordinated strategy. Each pack often includes around 10 individuals, working closely to track and manage prey larger than any single wolf could handle alone. Yet even when a meal seems secured, that order can be tested by an outsider that needs no allies to apply pressure. From the tree line, a grizzly appears, quiet yet heavy with authority. Its presence alone reshapes the wolves' formation. The pack spreads out, moves continuously, and keeps a safe distance while never taking its eyes off the rival. The reward is still in front of them, but the risk is now unmistakable. The standoff unfolds without a sound. A few wolves move forward in a wide arc, probing for a reaction. The bear only has to pivot its body and rise to its full height. An unmistakable statement of overwhelming strength without needing to act. There is no drawn-out chase, only a brief moment of calculation, where both sides recognize their limits. The wolf pack chooses to step back, not as a defeat, but because survival favors clear judgment. In the wild, confrontation is not about erasing an opponent, but about preserving a fragile balance between strength and intelligence. Beneath the ocean's surface, fear does not arrive with teeth, but with cold intelligence. The orca appears with almost no warning, each slow circle around the drifting ice a precisely calculated step. Its power is not defined by muscle, but by the moment the prey realizes every escape route has been sealed. The sea becomes a living chessboard, where every passing wave carries a clear intention. And when the pod's call rises through the water, the ocean's order is established in an instant. The orca is a marine mammal that sits at the top of the ocean food web. Its power is not defined by a single burst of speed, but by pod intelligence, where each role is assigned like a coordinated team. They communicate through sound, remember travel routes, and use echolocation to read the darkness beneath the surface. In any ocean, the orca's presence is a reminder of its role in maintaining natural balance, helping regulate populations and sustain order in marine ecosystems. In shallow water, stingrays press close to the bottom and glide in silence, blending into the sand as if they were part of the terrain. Orcas respond with a fourth skill, a deliberate tail slap that churns up sediment and strips away every layer of camouflage. When the ray is forced off the seafloor, the advantage flips instantly. The orca does not need a high-speed chase, only a short approach within a few feet, enough to seal the space and take control. What stands out here is not just strength, but adaptive thinking shaped to each species and each landscape, confirming the role of a true strategist of the ocean. On drifting ice, a pod works together to generate waves several feet high, breaking footing and forcing penguins into the cold water. Notably, many younger individuals weighing thousands of pounds join these hunts not only for food, but as a process of learning and practicing skills in real conditions. Each year, gray whales make a punishing 12,000-mile round trip from the Arctic to Baja. A mother weighing nearly 90,000 pounds carries a promise of survival, guiding her calf, only about 2,000 pounds, across the open ocean. For the young one, every mile becomes a test of breathing rhythm, calm focus, and endurance. In open water, orcas arrive not with noise, but with a discipline that feels relentless. They spread into a horizontal line, reaching speeds up to 30 miles per hour to stir chaotic water and create hard-to-read angles, constantly working to separate the calf from the mother's protective wall. Instead of a straight charge, the orcas take turns closing in, disrupting surfacing timing and forcing the pair to spend more energy with each tightening loop of pursuit. Out on the deep blue, no strength is ever absolute. Even a giant carried by steady maternal resolve can pay the highest price if timing slips by half a step in the dance of survival. Along that fragile boundary, only those who hold on to persistence to the very end earn the chance to face tomorrow's sunlight. Among their prey, sea lions weighing over 1,100 pounds demand the most specialized and daring pursuit techniques. This is especially true when they haul out on sandy beaches, briefly leaving their familiar environment and losing their usual alert advantage. The chase quickly becomes a high-stakes test of timing and control. Along the waters of Patagonia, orcas perform the dramatic tactic known as intentional stranding. They patiently study the tide's timing before surging up to 30 miles per hour, sliding their massive bodies onto the beach to seize the target in an instant. It is an extreme gamble. A small miscalculation in body placement or wave push can leave the dominant hunter stranded on shore for good. Across open miles of sea, they display another form of power driven by ocean dynamics. With a purposeful tail strike that can deliver thousands of pounds of force, an orca can fling an opponent more than 30 feet into the air. The impact can leave the target unable to respond and underscores the orca's overwhelming advantage in that moment. These behaviors are not simply instinct, but proof of a cultural legacy, where skills are refined and passed down through generations. In the blue depths, they stand as strategists shaped by the discipline of true masters. In the South Atlantic, the tide is not just an astronomical event. It is a high-stakes survival pulse. As the rising water covers jagged reefs, a leading female orca and her family begin the ocean's most dangerous journey. Their target is recently weaned elephant seal pups, weighing around 300 pounds. These young animals do not yet have the experience to recognize the danger sliding in with the incoming water. More than 20 feet long, the mother orca quietly threads into a narrow channel. This is a gamble measured in minutes. One misread of the falling tide, and the hunter can be stranded for good on the rocks. But the orca's intelligence does not end there. Moving into colder waters, they face elephant seals weighing about 1,000 pounds, resting high on drifting ice. Here, a coordinated team totaling roughly 12,000 pounds performs one of the most disciplined group tactics on Earth. They line up side by side, then drive their tails to send waves several feet high. The surge breaks the ice's stability and knocks the seal into frigid water, where the hunters are already in position. This is more than a hunt. It is a cultural legacy known as wave washing, passed down through generations. As ice shifts and water rises, disciplined teamwork and strategic intelligence become the ultimate advantage, allowing orcas to dominate across the planet's cold oceans. A humpback whale appears like a living fortress in the open ocean, with a body mass that can reach around 88,000 pounds. Its pectoral fins, nearly 16 feet long, sweep through the water slowly but with clear authority, forming a steady protective buffer around the mother and her calf. Across a migration that spans thousands of miles, this defensive structure helps keep most threats at a safe distance, while demanding near-perfect coordination between two enormous bodies. Orcas rarely choose a healthy adult at full strength. Instead, they shadow mother and calf pairs along the outer edge of the travel route, where rest cycles and surfacing rhythm become decisive. Under the lead of a dominant female, the pod splits its formation. One group disrupts the pair's direction, while another blocks retreat, maintaining constant pressure that forces the mother to change course and spend energy with every repeated turn. What sets this strategy apart is its level of precision. A seasoned individual matches movement to the pair's steady swim cadence, using the brief moment when the calf drifts just a few inches beyond the protective zone. When that shield is disrupted, the formation closes immediately, using position and body mass to control the space, pushing the mother to draw on every reserve of endurance to pull the calf back in. The pursuit ends with cold practicality. They focus on the most energy-efficient payoff, then move on as the ocean returns to its natural cycle. In that moment, the sea repeats an unchanging rule. Even the greatest giants endure by staying in rhythm with nature, where every form of power is paid for in energy. Across the deep blue surface, the great white shark, reaching about 20 feet long and nearly 5,000 pounds, has long been seen as a symbol of ocean power. But now that order is being tested by an opponent that is not only strong, but also calculating. The orca, with a brain that can weigh up to about 15 pounds and pod coordination that functions like a trained hunting unit. Rather than a chaotic contest of force, orcas turn the encounter into a precise tactical operation. They exploit a biological vulnerability in sharks, a temporary immobile state when the shark is turned upside down. With exact coordination, individual orcas use their body weight to control and roll the shark, leaving the solitary predator in a deep, unresponsive state with little ability to react. Their objective is not the entire animal, but the most energy-dense reward, an approach built on efficiency rather than prolonged pursuit. This efficiency can trigger a wave of avoidance. Once other great whites detect orca acoustic signals, they may leave the area immediately. It is a clear sign that a new era has begun for these masters of rough seas. The Arctic is unforgiving to the weak. The polar bear does not arrive merely to survive. It enters to assert dominance. Every measured step carries overwhelming presence, compelling all other life to hesitate. Its immense muscle is unleashed, where each forward movement alone establishes authority. Within moments of confrontation, the weaker presence gives way, and the balance is instantly reshaped. What forces have forged the absolute power of this cold region ruler? The polar bear is the largest land carnivore on Earth, weighing over 1,500 pounds and standing nearly 10 feet tall when fully upright. A thick layer of fat and white fur not only provides insulation, but also allows it to blend seamlessly into the vast, icy landscape. Its highly developed sense of smell enables the bear to detect prey from distances of several miles away, even beneath thick layers of ice. In this frozen world, the polar bear is not only a hunter, but a symbol of complete adaptation to one of the harshest environments on the planet. Seals are among the most numerous residents of the Arctic, yet they live in a constant state of high alert. To survive beneath ice sheets nearly 6 feet thick, they must maintain small breathing holes, fragile lifelines connecting the dark, frozen ocean below to the harsh air above. Yet these same escape points quietly become a hunting map within the memory of the polar bear. The predator's most effective strategy is absolute patience. A bear can remain motionless for hours beside a breathing hole, blending so completely into the white ice that it is nearly invisible. Its superior sense of smell allows it to detect signs of seals from distances of dozens of miles. When a seal is forced to surface for oxygen, the bear has less than 2 seconds to act. A rapid lunge at speeds approaching 30 miles per hour, combined with immense force, typically ends resistance before the seal can fully register the danger. When seals rest atop drifting ice, the rhythm of the hunt shifts. The bear lowers its body close to the surface, advancing inch by inch, or approaches silently from beneath the icy water. Once close enough, a decisive movement draws the seal away from the ice in a single instant. A single successful hunt can provide up to 100,000 calories, enough to sustain the bear through more than 10 demanding days. Seals make up nearly 90% of the polar bear's diet, enabling it to store fat that can account for almost half of its body weight. In the wild, encounters between polar bears and walruses represent some of the most intense displays of power in the Arctic. The walrus, often called the tank of the North, possesses an enormous body that can weigh up to 4,400 pounds, protected by skin nearly 4 inches thick and a massive insulating fat layer. Its tusks, reaching close to 3 feet in length, help it stabilize on ice and also serve as formidable defenses capable of inflicting severe injury on any predator. Because of this danger, the polar bear rarely chooses a direct confrontation. Instead, it becomes a force that shapes chaos. Through its overwhelming presence alone, the bear triggers panic within the walrus herd, driving many into the water. Amid the confusion, it remains still and observant, identifying a separated calf or an individual weakened by crowd movement, targets that carry the least risk. Only when a vulnerable walrus is isolated on land does the bear move in. Its immense weight bears down, and focused strikes are directed at sensitive areas, quickly limiting the animal's ability to resist. With a hunting success rate below 10%, this strategy does not reflect weakness, but a calculated survival instinct. The polar bear chooses patience and precision over risking its life against the Arctic's armored giant. Across the open tundra, the male caribou stands as a symbol of northern endurance. Its massive antlers, spanning nearly 4 feet wide, rise above a flexible, resilient frame built for long and demanding migrations. On dry ground, this hoofed animal is a true athlete, capable of reaching speeds of up to 50 miles per hour, fast enough to maintain safe distance from most predators. But when the thawing season arrives, familiar terrain can suddenly turn into a dangerous obstacle. Icy channels cut across migration routes, forcing caribou to swim. Here, the advantage of speed disappears. Beneath the cold, murky water, the polar bear moves in quietly, using front paws nearly 12 inches wide to maintain balance and generate powerful propulsion. As the distance narrows to just a few feet, a decisive hold is applied. Powerful shoulder muscles pull a caribou, weighing over 350 pounds, onto rocky ground, turning the crossing into an inescapable setback. For young caribou, the danger is even greater. A single moment out of sync with the herd can bring a migration spanning hundreds of miles to an abrupt end. A clear reminder of the polar bear's adaptability and dominance in the extreme Arctic environment. Across the silent, flat ice fields of the Arctic, a quiet game of hide-and-seek quietly begins. In the biting cold of -30 degrees Fahrenheit, the polar bear stands completely still like a white statue, concealed beside scattered breathing holes in the thick ice. Time passes in absolute silence. Although beluga whales can hold their breath for up to 20 minutes, they remain bound by biology and must surface for air, especially when confined within narrow channels surrounded by ice. The bear memorizes the locations of these breathing holes with remarkable precision. In the instant a beluga surfaces, a rapid, close-in movement seals the outcome before the whale can react. When summer approaches and the frozen kingdom begins to break apart, the North's greatest predator immediately shifts strategy. The polar bear is an exceptional swimmer, gliding quietly through icy currents, timing each breath and tracking along the water's edge like a white shadow. In shallow river mouths, thousands of belugas measuring up to 15 feet long gather to shed their skin, seeking safety in warmer water. But this calm refuge quickly turns into a zone of danger. From a rocky ledge nearly 10 feet high, the bear dives downward with precision, seizing a brief window to secure its target. Each successful hunt is not only a triumph of strength, but the careful accumulation of fat layers up to 5 inches thick, the vital energy reserve needed to endure the unforgiving Arctic winter ahead. When summer sunlight washes over the far northern reaches, the polar bear is forced to leave its icy throne and enter a season of endurance. The seal hunting grounds disappear, and the apex predator shifts roles, becoming a persistent forager, conserving energy and seizing every opportunity to avoid physical decline. Along steep coastal cliffs, the bear quietly scans seabird nesting sites. A single egg provides only about 200 calories, but hundreds of nests combined become a vital energy source for a body weighing up to 1,500 pounds. This is a strategy of steady accumulation, low risk, low effort, exchanged for small but consistent returns. While these food sources cannot replace the rich fat reserves provided by seals, bird eggs, and salmon play a crucial role in carrying the polar bear through the summer months. The Arctic is an unforgiving land, where survival can become a harsh contest even among members of the same species. As sea ice, the vital network connecting hunting grounds, contracts into only a few scattered square miles, the fragile balance collapses. Tolerance fades, replaced by a cold instinct to claim and control limited space. Encounters between these giants begin with calculated ritual rather than immediate action. Adult males, rising over 9 feet tall when upright, lift their bodies to display immense mass and strength. Low vibrations travel across the ice, serving as warnings without direct engagement. This is a language of pressure. When testing swipes, carrying forces measured in thousands of pounds fail to make an opponent retreat, a prolonged and energy-draining standoff becomes unavoidable. The deeper tension emerges during the season of scarcity, when maintaining body heat turns into a critical struggle. At such times, cubs may fall within the range of biological risk. A mother, weighing roughly 600 pounds, positions herself between danger and a cub weighing barely 25 pounds. In that moment, every defensive step is no longer instinct alone, but a deliberate choice between survival and the drive to protect her bloodline. The lion charges into the hunt with overwhelming strength and uncompromising bursts of speed. Each close approach is a convergence of muscle, strategy, and instinct, seizing control in an instant. But at times, the obstacle is not prey. It is another hunter, equally prepared to engage in a decisive confrontation. When their gazes lock, the hunt immediately shifts into a test of survival. And in that moment, only one question remains: who truly holds the right to dominate? Under the suffocating midday heat approaching 100 degrees Fahrenheit, spotted hyenas begin to emerge from low thickets. An adult weighs around 130 pounds, equipped with an exceptionally powerful jaw. But their true strength lies not in muscle, rather in a tightly structured matriarchal system and a form of pressure-based patience. Lions and hyenas have long been locked in an endless competition for resources. When a group of hyenas closes in on a feeding lioness, sharp, echoing laughter cuts through the air like psychological pressure. They move slowly, tightening the circle step by step, constantly testing the opponent's endurance. After prolonged tension, the lioness is forced to withdraw, leaving behind the area she once controlled. The balance shifts instantly when a male lion appears. Without any display of force, the calm stride and the heavy mane moving in the wind are enough to generate pressure that causes the hyenas to hesitate. Faced with the advantage of size and commanding presence, they scatter, yielding the open ground. At times, however, confidence in numbers pushes the hyenas too close to the line of safety. A single misjudgment is enough for order to be re-established. With an estimated bite force of around 650 psi, sufficient to resolve most confrontations, on the savanna, conflict does not need to be prolonged. because the boundaries of survival are always determined by timing and resolve. Wild dogs appear like living arrows. They do not stalk for long. They surge forward, driven by endurance and precision, bound together through an almost absolute system of body signals. Each individual weighs around 70 pounds, but when working as a unit, the pack's hunting success rate can reach nearly 80%, a figure high enough to make many larger predators hesitate. But that precision crosses into a space protected by absolute authority. A male lion, weighing over 450 pounds, emerges, transforming an energetic hunt into an immediate equation of survival. The lion does not rely on prolonged pursuit. It waits for the moment when the wild dogs spread their formation, then launches a short, forceful approach. A single unexpected advance is enough to disrupt the pack's structure. Adult members instantly shift direction, withdrawing by instinct refined through experience. This is not a struggle for energy. For the lion, it is an act of spatial control. Each step forward redraws an invisible boundary. On the savanna, dominance does not require a prolonged victory. At the right moment, order is restored. In the world of apex predators, territorial competition is the harshest test of maturity. Coalitions of male lions, typically made up of 2 to 4 related individuals, work together to establish control over vast areas. Each day, they patrol for hours, leaving marks and scent trails as silent declarations of ownership. But these boundaries inevitably overlap. When rival coalitions encounter one another, tension rises immediately. Close approaches and brief physical contact serve as a way to test endurance and resolve. Victory rarely belongs to a single individual. It favors the group with greater numbers and tighter coordination. When disadvantage becomes clear, the weaker side often chooses early withdrawal, avoiding unnecessary loss and yielding fertile grasslands to the opposition. Holding territory is not only about controlling space, but also about protecting bloodlines. Newly dominant coalitions may attempt to accelerate the pride's reproductive cycle. In response to this risk, lionesses act with heightened caution, moving their cubs to secluded rocky shelters to reduce exposure. Through harsh, dry seasons, any coalition that maintains territorial control for roughly 2 to 3 years reaches the peak of power. At that point, there are no permanent thrones, only those that endure longer within an ongoing cycle of replacement. On the savanna, the leopard is known as the ghost of stealth. An adult weighs around 140 pounds, light enough for agility, yet not large enough to accept prolonged confrontations. For this cat, even a minor mistake can tip the balance of survival in an unfavorable direction. Most of the time, leopards and lions avoid each other. But when an invisible boundary is crossed, the silence is immediately broken. The lion approaches slowly, using terrain and the advantage of presence, asserting control over territories that can span up to 100 square miles. The leopard understands the signal. The first response is not confrontation, but escape. It springs onto a tree trunk, often climbing more than 20 feet above the ground, a survival buffer where the lion struggles to engage effectively. In moments of sudden pressure, the leopard shifts into a defensive posture. The body angles slightly, claws raised forward, releasing low, restrained growls. This is not a declaration of battle, but a message to maintain distance. Within just a few seconds, this restraint is often enough to force the lion to reassess the energy cost of moving closer. Encounters like these rarely last more than a few minutes. The lion asserts authority through presence, while the leopard asserts intelligence through silent withdrawal. Because in the wild, survival is not only about who is stronger, but about who knows when to disappear, preserving energy for the hunt that comes tomorrow. Lions are often seen as the leaders of the food chain, holding dominance over vast grasslands. Yet their hunting success rate averages only around 20 to 30%, meaning failure is a daily reality. That dominance, therefore, is not a guarantee of absolute security. Near the Mara River, a lion approaches a lone wildebeest. Every sign appears familiar, the distance closing, the angle favorable. But the prey, weighing nearly 600 pounds, reacts with a sudden, powerful burst. The force of that response halts the lion, bringing the pursuit to an early end in a cloud of dry dust, as control slips out of reach. Equally dramatic is how African buffalo demonstrate the strength of the collective. Lions often target the old or the weak, but in this case, the assessment is wrong. When one individual becomes isolated, the formation shifts rapidly, applying pressure in return. Faced with a mass exceeding 1,500 pounds and tightly coordinated movement, the lion is forced to withdraw. Along the edges of major rivers in East Africa, the savanna is no longer the lion's exclusive domain. Here, Nile crocodiles, Ancient residents stretching over 16 feet in length and weighing more than 1,500 pounds hold silent control. When these two forces meet, it is not a familiar hunt, but a test at the intersection of land and water. On sun-exposed sandbanks, the advantage often shifts toward the lion. With explosive bursts of acceleration, lions apply pressure from multiple angles, forcing the crocodile to turn defensively. In that moment, the safest choice for the ruler of the water is a rapid retreat back into the river. Beneath the murky surface, however, the order reverses completely. Crocodiles possess highly sensitive pressure detection systems and a bite force reaching approximately 3,700 psi, a number that makes any mistake costly. When a lion is compelled to cross a river, even a brief hesitation is enough for it to withdraw immediately, maintaining distance from the dangerous water. These encounters rarely last long. They end with calculated retreats from both sides. On the savannah, even the dominant force must respect natural boundaries, because power remains sustainable only when it knows where to stop, precisely where land and water meet. In the wilds of North America, the grizzly bear charges like a storm once it commits to a target. Each surge of power forces the land itself to yield to this dominant force at the top of the food chain. If the grizzly bear's raw hunting presence sends a chill of awe, a simple like helps support the team behind the story. Subscribing to the channel ensures viewers do not miss more moments that stir the mountains and forests. And from those small actions taken today, the journey of telling the wild world story gains even more reason to continue forward.